A very warm welcome to Orange City, Nagpur, everyone. Good afternoon to all. On behalf of CII, my own personal warm welcome to all of you for joining us here in this event. Today we are hosting a third conversation in series Shri and SME, Inclusive Future Series, in partnership with the US Consulate, Mumbai. The first workshop was organized in Ahmedabad on 27 September, followed by the next session in Goa, 23rd November. This was very well received by members. I am delighted to welcome Mr. Mike Henke, US Consul General, Mumbai. Welcome to Nagpur, sir. For this personal participation at workshop at Nagpur, we are blessed with his presence to enlighten us with the regional industries. Thank you for joining us. May I also take a moment to acknowledge the support that we have received from Ms. Tejaswini from the US Consulate, who has been so diligent and supportive in execution of these workshops. The aim of this program is to create sustained dialogue and engagement towards promoting workplace diversity and inclusion. It is time that we move the needle from good to have policy in today's competitive business landscape to must have, leveraging a true competitive advantage. Recent industries studies indicate that $12 trillion can be added to the global GDP if gender gap is reduced by 2025. Further, it has been pointed out that ethically diverse companies outperform peers by 36% and gender diverse companies by 48%. India has climbed 8 places in the annual gender gap report to 2023 and is ranked 127 out of 146 in terms of gender parity. From last year, it was 135. So we moved in the reducing parity. On our 4 key markers of the index: economic participation and opportunity, educational attainment, health and survival, and political empowerment. India has a window to opportunity to make improvements in each so that one half of the most populous country in the world may contribute to the economy, growth, and overall well-being of society. How do we eliminate gender disparities that hold women back? How do we harness the economic potential of its talent? Women is the discussion that we want to focus on here. I'm happy to share that before undertaking this series, CII, in partnership with US Consulate Mumbai, conducted a simple survey to understand what women think and feel about their career, work, job employment, and workplaces. By analyzing the voices of the reasonable size sample of working women, the survey aims to identify the gap and seek input on gender inclusive workplace policies that can promote gender diversity at the workplace. Some of the key focus areas from the survey are lack of awareness among us employees on what constitutes workplace harassment, redressal, and grievance mechanism was what predominant point. Only 40% of the responded that said their country has a gender inclusive workplace policy in place, and about 45% were not even sure if their organization had such a policy. So that is the gap we have to sensitize with the discussion and take it forward in this region. Need for sharing best practices and initiatives with management and human resources leaders to address the gender gap that would better attract and retain female staff. Both India and US have a dynamic and vibrant private sector, and I am delighted to welcome our speakers representing US and Indian companies to this discussion. Ms. Kavita Kosik, Kavita ma'am, from the Cummins industry, she is representing industry. Mr. Rahul Dikshit, he is heading MSME panel in the CII Maharashtra state. So he'll be putting this MSME perspective on this gender diversity. Ms. Swarnlata Mauli, HCL head from IT, HR head. Vinita Mittal from Thompson, she's traveled from Delhi for this, sensitizing this area. Shivaji Dawad from IIM Nagpur. So we have diversified panel discussion on today's session. As you can see, we have a diverse set of speakers who bring the table on table their vast experience. I would like to thank all the participants joining this important conversation. I do hope that this session there will be participants here to take back ideas which will help bringing this kind of policies to their institutions. With these words, may I now invite Mr. Mike, U.S. Consul General Mumbai, to address us, guide us, sensitize this subject to this area, how bring the more involvement of the gender diversity in the industry. Thank you, Mike. Welcome to Nagpur.
Kishore, thank you very much. And good afternoon to everyone. How well can you understand my English? If you raise your hand right now, I'll know that you're understanding my English. Great, great. If I need to slow down at any point, I will. It is wonderful to be here with this wonderful group of men and women on this dais. I'm not so much an expert in this topic as I am an advocate for this topic. And from my position in the US Consulate General in Mumbai, which covers all of Western India, it's really my pride that our signature goal for all of Western India, for all of the US government efforts, the number one thing that we look for is to advance women's workforce participation, especially in the formal sector. When I say that, you might say, well, wait, what about safety on the roads, commuting back and forth to work? What about the childcare economy? Those are important things too. We recognize from the US government perspective that we may not necessarily have the ability to change those things. So we've looked and said, where can we make some change? Where can we convene partners? Where can we work with the special comparative advantage that's present here in Western India? And the answer is in trying to build networks of mentors, trying to create a culture that supports women in the workplace, and trying to retain women across the span of a career in the workplace. Along the way, we've seen that there are great US companies. Kavita's with us from one of them. Cummins is one, HCL. These companies are present in Western India. I'm incredibly proud as an American that they bring a global perspective to this issue. Also, we've got great Indian partners that are really operating on a global level, and I would say leading on these issues, whether that's in the private sector or from organizations like CII. And CII is not alone in this. FICCI does a lot in it, other associations. And then you've got non-governmental organizations. In Gujarat, maybe Sewa. In Maharashtra here, Mandeshi. They bring in millions of women to financial and entrepreneurship programs that represent a scale far bigger than anything we do in the United States. So whenever I join one of these conversations, in all humility, I say, I'm not the expert on this, but I am very proud that I get to convene parties from across the political and economic and social landscape. CII has been a great partner for us on this. Kishore, thank you for mentioning that there's some work we've done. I've done several sessions with the CII leadership in Mumbai. We've looked to see what else we can expand across Western India. It's my pleasure to be out here in Nagpur. Kavita was asking me, and I was saying, this is actually my third time in Nagpur. The first time was 30 years ago when I was a high school student in Coimbatore. I came to Nagpur for a visit. It was a lot of fun. The only thing I remember is Diksha Bhumi and the 0 mile marker. I came back in April with my son, and we saw Diksha Bhumi and the 0 mile marker. They hadn't really changed very much. This time I'm here for official reasons, because I'm really trying to connect with the Vidarbha region during this winter session of the Maharashtra state legislature, but also with the business, social, and academic opportunities that there are here for American partnership. The US-India partnership right now is unlike any bilateral relationship I've seen across nearly 25 years in our diplomatic service. I have never seen such a warm and tight relationship right from the top level. Our top leaders, President Biden and Prime Minister Modi, truly do have a warm and close relationship. And that's helpful because that culture filters down. It comes to what we do across India. It comes to what we're doing globally and our strategic objectives. And then that relates back to what we can do here in Western India. I want to talk about those strategic objectives because they relate to the topic of today with women's economic empowerment. Fundamentally, the US and India share values. We're both democracies. We're both diverse countries. We both have constitutions that start with the same three words, we the people. And I have a lot of respect for those ideals. In the US, in humility, do we always live up to them? We don't. Over our history, we haven't. I think as two countries, as two friendly countries, friends can talk to each other and say, hey, here's where I'm struggling, here's where maybe we can do better. But the point is that our ideals are the same. We want to see a world that is free. We're all here on business terms today. We want to see a world that is prosperous. We want to see a world that is rules bound and a world that's open with exchange of ideas, people, goods, and services. So when we look at these goals around the world, we have to consider how do we best get there? Achieving a world that's free, open, prosperous, and rules bound. I firmly believe, and our government is committed to achieving those goals through inclusive growth in the economy, raising the percentage of women who are engaged in both of our economies as a way to achieve those goals. That's going to help on the bottom line, first of all. My very second day in India a year and a half ago, the head of Bank of America for all of India was at my house, and she was saying, Mike, diversity in our workplace is a good thing, no doubt about it. Morally, it's the right thing. But even more, it pays better. She has data to show that by changing her office very intentionally to bring more women and a diversity of views, whether that's from any demographic factor, region of the country, language, whatever it is, she's making more money. So that's a direct impact, first of all. Secondly, organizations, profit-making or not, are more resilient. And I would say societies are more resilient.
Could I have like a...
Hey, Rob, we can hear you. It's my colleague back in. So organizations and societies are going to be more resilient, more able to adapt to and respond to change when they have greater diversity of voices, opinions, and solutions. India is leading the way right now on some 21st century challenges. When you look at the G20 year that's just finished and India's leadership with the life, this is the circular economy. Hey, Ryan, can you maybe just send Rob a note and tell him to mute? Thanks. The circular economy life initiative from India, that's leading the world. That needs to be part of the solution. The use of DPI, digital public infrastructure, and software solutions, we're nowhere near that for payment solutions in the US right now. We can learn from India, as can the rest of the world. Looking at things with a global ethanol alliance and a clean fuels transition. To achieve any of these economic steps, we're going to need women around the table to help design these technologies. As policymakers, we look and we recognize the United States, when seatbelts were first designed, they were designed for men who are about my age and about my height. Well, that doesn't help very much if you're shorter. What about airbags that were disproportionately killing women when they deployed? That seems counter-helpful. So by having more women in the design process on the commercial side, you're going to have better products, you're going to make more money, you're going to be better for society. And I would say the same is true in politics and in social organizations. That resilience is important to us. Often people ask me, and I've been to organizations and I've been from everything from the panchayat level up to high levels at the ministerial level in the Indian government. And people ask me, why do you care so much about this? I don't know that anyone's necessarily suspicious, but they just wonder, why would you come all the way from the US and care about that? And the reason is that in the world, India and the United States, as the world's largest and the world's oldest democracies, we share so much and we have a lot at stake in this century. We need to do a lot together to fight climate change, to create inclusive growth, to create a world where data is shared in a useful way that protects privacy. All of these things distinguish India and the United States from other countries that might present it or pursue it differently. And to get there, we're going to need both of our countries to be as resilient as possible. Some of the data show that just in the next few years, if India were able to bring the rate of women working in the economy up to the parity with men, it would add $2.9 trillion to the economy. It's almost $1 trillion per year that it would add. That helps create a buffer in budgets and in a society to deal with other issues, to be able to extend capacity, project power internationally. When the United States looks at India, that's our dream, is for India to be even more self-sustaining, to be even more able to act on the world stage. That comes back to some things that we fundamentally hold, such as that reform in the United Nations is necessary to bring in India to the Security Council. These are things that we've been seeking because we see a growing role for India as essential. And what we want to do is start right at the most local level. Today we're in Vidarbha. Tomorrow it might be someplace else, to help build that one step at a time. I know most of you are from medium and small enterprises, maybe micro enterprises even, and I'm glad for that. In both of our economies, most employment is at those levels. When I was talking about these giant companies, and I have a lot of respect for Cummins, for example, sitting next to me here, they're unfortunately a paper-thin slice at the very top of the economy. So one of the charges, one of the challenges that I give to partners when I meet with them is to say, take the amazing work you're doing at this level and see what you can do to project through your influence across the rest of society. Consider your supply chains, consider how you make decisions on hiring, think about everyone that touches you in your ecosystem. It might be easier to bring women into an office job near to their home, but what are we doing to bring women, create the context that's safe and accessible for women into sales jobs, into engineering jobs, into things that are further away that maybe society has questioned in the past as being not appropriate for women? And I think that doing that on your own is possible, but it's difficult. Doing that in a big group like all of you here is absolutely achievable. So if I had a dream for all of you, it would be by the time you finish at the end of today, that you can carry forward your network to be able to achieve some of these differences in some very concrete ways. We have a saying that it's fun to admire a problem. You look at that water bottle and you admire it. Wow, yeah, this is a problem. There aren't enough women in the formal economy. Well, let's do more about that. Let's figure out a way to get that bottle filled. Let's make some very specific, concrete commitments about what we're going to do. I'm happy to take questions if there's time for it. I'm getting a signal from my colleague that I do have time. If that's something, Kishore, you're the chair here, that you feel comfortable with, I'd be happy to do so.
We can open up for these questions because he may be leaving early. So we'll continue our session later on. Okay. So any questions to Mike? Most welcome. Yeah. Yeah. Rupal.
Just say it loud. Yeah, there we go.
Perfect. So first of all, thank you, Mike, for coming and sharing the insights. Myself, Rupal, I'm leading the business for a company called Click to Cloud, based out of Seattle, but we have presence here. We have seen the huge problem, as you rightly mentioned, about diversity or having the presence of women at leadership positions, especially. And it's consistent across, whether we are also talking about US or in India. And we are running that community back in US called Women in Technology and Leadership to encounter those challenges and bring that up to the leadership level at a different state, to bring some of the certifications or rules that can be applicable for all the companies across to have that woman presence in those particular categories. Do you have? Yeah. So do you have any specific insights while being as an India level or even US level that you're working to have those presence where women have a similar representation at a particular level?
Yeah. No, thank you for that. And congratulations on working together across companies to set a standard. I think that helps because you help keep each other honest. Within our own organization, American Diplomacy, we hire people roughly at numbers reflective of where they are in society. Roughly 50% men and women, roughly representative of different ethnic, racial groups. By the time you get to leadership levels, generally white male men like me. So what are we doing to move it up? I'm not sure that we have the best example, but there's some things that I've talked about here in India that I think could help. Number one is in Mumbai, take even an industry like finance that has a lot of women at the top levels. Even in industries like that, women in the C-suite doesn't necessarily translate, or allies who are men in the C-suite doesn't necessarily translate into lower or mid-level practices and culture that make it easy for women to get in. There's a lot of good messaging from the C-suite, but not as much carry through institutional change at lower levels. This is something very specifically that we're looking at trying to address. I think naming that problem is important first. I don't have a solution for it. Another thing that I've looked at is some US companies have started tracking here in India their women's participation rates at different levels of the hierarchy. I'm most impressed with the companies like Procter & Gamble that have made a commitment from day one to get, take a number, 30, 40% by a given date at all levels, rather than we're going to start low and then 5 years later move up and then 5 years and 5 years. Because by the time you're done, that's an entire generation. And I appreciate the work that those companies are doing, but I think it's even more impressive to say from day one, we're going to put in place some systems to train women so they can parachute in at the top. Maybe we're going to pull them in from military leadership. Ex-military I've seen works really well. Maybe we're going to get them paired up with a male mentor so they can come in at the mid-levels. You can't only rely on hoping that gradually an entire generation moves up. Maybe I got time for one more question. I got the thumbs up.
Any more questions?
That's a good question.
No questions from this panel speaker? Anybody want to pose any questions, Mike? No? So I have one question.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I belongs to the the environmental company. We do waste management in India.
Yeah.
So I wanted to understand the inclusivity of women into the US waste management industry. What can you put some light on women involvement into the waste management industry? Because here, one of our plants of municipal waste management is headed by the girl. The whole 500-ton waste is being managed. She's heading the plants, and all across the waste management sector, from the lorry to treatment processes to the recycling, there is a inclusivity of the woman. So, what is the US? Can you put some light?
I'll acknowledge my ignorance on the knowledge of human resources in the waste management field in the US. My impression is it's generally more men than women. My bigger impression that maybe I can speak about is in the United States, we have a great shortage of people that want to work in a labor sector like that. And we have a shortage of people that want to work in technical jobs. A lot of firms have tried to open up in the United States and they say our pipeline for trained staff is less in the United States, especially technically trained, some kind of an engineering technical background. I think that those conditions are opportunities for women to step in. There's a famous photo. It's called Rosie, or it's a picture, sorry, it was a poster in 1944 that gained the name Rosie the Riveter. Now, a rivet is a way to connect two pieces of metal. There was a poster made during World War II when a lot of women were taking men's jobs in the United States because they were fighting overseas, and these women were building airplanes and tanks and ships. And a poster was done of this woman flexing her bicep, bandana on her head, and says, "We can do it." So if you look it up right now, Rosie the Riveter, this was not based on any one woman, but it was based on many women who took these jobs. Just 2 weeks ago, the last of these female riveters died. She had continued into her early 90s working as a riveter at a Boeing aircraft factory near Los Angeles. She took these jobs, she started in the 1940s, and she continued on. And that comes to mind for me. that at a time in the United States when there's a shortage across the board, especially in certain industries that are growing, high tech, battery technology, electric vehicles, those are new industries. Those are great industries that women could jump into. And I'd like to see them doing it more.
Thank you. Thank you very much for addressing us. And
I think so.
so Mike has other assignments in the city and the scheduled meetings, so he'll be leaving. So, say again?
I said I have to see the whole city.
Yeah, you would like to go to the Dakshinabhumi again?
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Do it all.
So, invite you for next trip to visit our tigers near Nagpur. It's 100 kilometers away from the Nagpur. Nagpur is known as the capital of Tiger City. So next time we will host you for tiger safaris. Yeah. So I just give you a small memento from CII. Yeah.
You're next up. I hope I kicked you off well. You can slide right in. Oh, thank you, sir. Wow. Thanks so much. You know Swati Sobo? Yeah, so I'm going to take this for one and I'll send it to her. Wow. Oh, other rounds. Very nice. Thank you so much. Thanks. Thank you. Wow. Thank you, sir. Sorry. Gotta get out and see it. Sure. Yeah. Great. Thank you all. See it. You can take photos of it. Sure. Wow. Thank you. Let us know what. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all. Good luck, everybody.
So please settle down. So we continue with our agenda of the day. Now I invite Kavita Kaushik. She is director at the Cummins India, and she'll be speaking on issues faced by women and what can be done for them as inclusivity into the industry. So I invite Kavita Kaushik. She's traveled from Pune to address us, guide us, sensitize the industry in Vidarbha region. Thank you very much, Kavita, for traveling us on this winter session, heavy loaded city. Thank you. So let us hear out the things.
Hello. Hello. Yeah. Just put on my presentation. I had made some slides. So you can just put it on.
Can you put presentation, please? Yeah.
I have to put in the password. Sorry. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. And thanks, first of all, CII, for inviting me here. Um, so I've made a couple of slides on my thoughts and what I have experienced as a part of Cummins. Been in Cummins for almost 16 years now. And almost in 1995, I passed out from Government College of Engineering, Pune, in doing electrical engineering with a major in power electronics. And started my career as being one of the first women on the shop floor, okay, in Alpha Level, which was completely, that too in their fabrication workshop. And I think a lot of it, what I am today, is the experience, which I got there and the learning which I got there, which shaped me in the future. And I have seen a lot of women being very, very successful as they did various stints, whether in manufacturing, whether in engineering, whether in strategy and everywhere. And um, Cummins also has been in the same journey for many years now. Okay, so I'll just narrate certain experiences from there and how we went about it. And as a part of CII, I am the convener for the Women Empowerment Panel. And as a part of that, what are we trying to do at, from CII initiatives as well? So I'll speak a bit more on that as well. Yep. So. Yeah. Okay. So maybe before I start, just wanted to bring to everyone knows about it, but then sometimes we just overlook it. Okay. So it's very important what women bring to the table, whether it is in the organization or whether they are an entrepreneur or a business owner. Okay. So I think very, very important is they bring in a very diverse perspective. Okay. And diversity is which is the one which takes us towards success. So very, very important part of that. Um, most of the time, you will find that, you will have women who will have better communication as compared to the male counterparts. And in very sticky situations, they are able to do a great job as well. So that's another big USP, women leaders bring to the table. Okay. Better talent retention, they are able to do better talent retention, is there. Obviously improve profitability, and this is, I think it is well proven that many of the companies where they had women in leadership brought almost 27% improvement in the profitability of the companies. And I think the more important piece is today we are talking on ESG, we are talking on so much on ensuring that what we give back as a circular economy, women are good at that as well. So when you look at the overall benefits, as Mike was saying very much, that they completely improve the overall, economy of a company as well as of the overall country as well. Okay. So with this, I'll not delve deeper into this. The World Economic Forum report, last year we were at 135, now we are at 127. Kishore, as you rightly said, and long way to go for India. Okay, when we really look at where we are, senior leadership, globally, it is 31%. But for India, we are all just at around 10%, 9 to 10% in senior leadership. Okay. So specifically, it is that for the South Asian countries like India, it will be almost like 150 years if we were to have gender parity. Okay. And when you look at gender parity, it is to do with economic participation, very, very important, right? It is to do with educational attainment, health and survival, and political empowerment. These are the 4 factors on which the World Economic Forum really measures on the gender gap and gender parity. And look at everywhere where it is, we are very good in terms of education. When we really look at it, we are good in terms of the political empowerment, we are better than the averages. But where it really comes, we are quite backward is where it comes for economic participation. So there is a big way where women are not the equal contributors in a household. Okay, so that are some of the very, very key takeaways. And even if you look at advancing women to the leadership role on a scale of 1 to 7, where the World Economic Forum measures us, we are at around 3.55. So we are mediocre. Okay, we are not that top in terms of how we want to advance women to leadership, because it is an agenda for few of the industries, but it is not for everyone. Okay, so I think that's the this. And when you will have Raul speak more, female ownership in MSMEs or even in the other industries, it is less than 3%. Okay, so those are the challenges which are there in front of us. And I think for these challenges, why women lag behind, first is, as I have experienced it throughout, gender stereotypes. Okay, there is a stereotype which says this work is for a man, this work is for a woman. Okay, it cannot be, but thinking need to change. Obviously, as a part of equity, certain changes need to be done. Okay, and that's the way to really go for this. Second challenge is social expectations. Women is always supposed to prioritize family and household. Okay, she is the primary caregiver, no doubt on that. But we need to ensure how we can move ahead even while doing this, with a good amount of, it should be in proportion. Okay, it should not be disproportionate. How do we really look from that perspective? Lack of mentoring. This is a big problem. Okay, because since we do not have many women at top leadership levels, they do not see many mentors, like how a woman can really move up. Okay, they see all men there, and that also deters in the mind that they cannot grow. Okay, and I spoke on that in terms of burden of unpaid care work. There's a lot of, COP28 also, they were talking now in terms of the unpaid care, the care which women gives in the household chores, the elderly care, the child care, which is completely unpaid. And then you still downplay that woman, saying that, she's good for nothing. Okay, at many of the households even today. Okay, and obviously how we can bring the gender pay gap. So these are certain of the issues why women tend to lag behind. Okay, but is there a solution to many of this? Yes, there are many people, many industries who are really taking good, steps to really, move ahead. And this is what can be done. First of all, fair hiring practices. I'll just take an example of Cummins. Cummins 10 years back, we were less than 10% in terms of gender diversity. Today, we are at 27%. Okay. Cummins is a mechanical industry. We make diesel engines, which is a smallest diesel engine. What we make is a 4.5 liter to the biggest of diesel engine, which is a 60 liter. So the 4.5 liter diesel engine is a truck engine. Okay. And the 60 liter is my huge, when you really look at it. And having women working on the shop floor is not easy. Okay. Because there has to be a lot of ergonomic improvements which needs to be done if you really need to bring that parity that a woman should work on the shop floor. But we went about it, took that decision 10 years back that we want to change the status quo. Okay, so that's the decision which needs to be there, that while hiring, we need to be very fair, that as a woman, as a man can work, yes, a woman can also work with certain changes which needs to be there. And I think that's a part of equity, which we call, right? It's not about equality now, it's more of equity. And in equity, you need to balance, in a proper way. So I think that was one thing. And also what we did is, when we started going to colleges, we just started having more and more women incumbents into Cummins. And one time there was a name which was given to Cummins. Oh, if Cummins is coming into a campus, they are going to take only females. But that was it. But that was a decision which was taken 10 years back. And I think that really helped us. Yeah. Pay equity, again, here we ensure that as a man grows in the leadership roles, is the women growing? How is the pay getting balanced? Okay, this is a discussion in the ILT forums as well. So that's the focus which is really given. Flexible work arrangements. I think this is again very important thing. COVID really brought a big setback. Even in Cummins, it was a setback. There were many women who really wanted to move away from whatever. Okay, just I'll tell you one example. Cummins was the first manufacturing industry to have women in second shifts. And those are a lot of rules and regulations for women coming in second shift, specifically in the manufacturing field. There were always women in the IT field working in second shift, but not in the manufacturing field. Okay, a lot of legalities and a lot of this had to be worked. And COVID, we really saw that there was a big problem. Women didn't want to come because they did not have the care, child care, because at that time, as every company has, you required that there should be crash facilities, but those were stopped during the COVID times. So they did not have anyone to give them care at home. Okay, so what to do? How we can ensure that they can be given flexible work arrangements was a big challenge. But then, there was a focus on how we can really, work across that. Very important in terms of how we can have mentoring programs for women, because many times when women grow in the leadership role, certain aspects of leadership, like understanding finances, okay, they tend to stay behind because they don't think that is as important, because most of the finance in the household is looked by the man. Okay, so that's the kind of things which we really started looking even at Cummins, that when we are putting women in leadership, these kind of forums are always there. So women in leadership, we train women at the mid level. It's around a 1.5 years program which they go through. Finances is a part of their curriculum as well. So how do we really look from that? Then the family friendly practices, how we can ensure that, we ensure that women during the difficult times were given sabbaticals. Okay, a minimum sabbatical was 1 month and the maximum was an year's time. Okay, obviously the maternity benefits which they really got after maternity, if they really want to increase the duration, how we can help them when they're coming back, how we can reskill them. Okay, even if they choose to work flexi hours, okay, the minimum flexi hours what we said is four hours a day, or it could even be 3 days a week. Okay, they would be able to get a flexi hours. So even in the manufacturing industries, we tried to bring in those kind of changes, and I think that's where today, wherever we are is only because of that. Are the challenges completely mitigated? Not at all. We do find women when they move from a mid to a senior level, still there are a lot of gaps. Okay, so 27% is overall, but maybe from a mid to senior level, it is just around 20%. We are not there. So Cummins has taken this, that by 2030, we need to make it 50%. Okay, so that's the challenge which has been taken. And I think with the right steps, with the right mindset, and these kind of things are only top driven. It is not bottom up, but it has to be only top driven. And with a conscious thinking, that can really be done. Okay, and so since we were talking more on SME, I put in this from an SME perspective, how we can really have more women. First of all, enhancing their access to finance. This is a major problem. And where I say this is, again, as a part of one of my responsibilities, I also, lead a program which is on improving the period poverty, that's the menstrual dignity for women in India. So as a part of that, what we really do, specifically in the villages, we are encouraging the self-help groups to become entrepreneurial, to start making sanitary pads with very less usage of electricity, and these are eco-friendly pads. And this they are doing it for last 5 years. And I have seen that with the right financing, what can be done, they can really change the entire thinking. 5 years back, even to talk to a man in that village about menstrual dignity and talk about period was a no-no. In villages like Fulton, Jamshedpur, where we started these centers. Today, the man, whenever there are visitors, it's a man who comes ahead and he's able to talk about the pad making. So there's a big difference. So if once you have the access to the women, I think that it changes. So things change very fast. Obviously, skilling and training, very, very important for the women from an the SME perspective. Encouraging women to really have the right mentors. Okay, because that mentorship, many times women do not seek. Okay, they feel shy to seek mentorship. And specifically when it is a man, they might feel more shy. Okay, so how do we ensure that these women in SMEs who want to become entrepreneurs, okay, have the right mentors, whether it's a man or whether it's a woman? How do we do? Then very, very important is, how do we change the social attitudes of people? How we can create more and more awareness, in thinking that yes, a woman can also be an entrepreneur. Okay, give her the equal status in the household. Because many times, even if a woman is an owner, she doesn't have the equal status in the household. Okay, she still has that backstage. Okay, so how do we really look from that perspective? I think these are certain things, which are very, very important from an SME perspective to grow more and more, women as entrepreneurs. And I think with the last, I'll just come to what we are doing as a part of CII. And as I said, we are part of a women empowerment panel at CII. I am the panel convener. Harsh Veena, she is the co-convener, and also Kriti is also the co-convener. So what we did is last year, we set up certain kind of actions for us looking at the World Economic Forum report. So these were certain of focus areas. So one first focus area was, can we create a playbook for women leaders? We don't have that. Okay, so if today I want to know who are the women leaders in Maharashtra, okay, across industries or across SMEs, across MSMEs, or across education, everywhere, there it's not readily available. So you do not have those stories. Okay, like earlier we had the Chitra Kathas and everything. So there was something which you looked up to. We do not have those. Okay, and you remember the best learning was on from those, right? So that's one kind of a thing which we are striving to do, how we can create playbook. Second thing is benchmark. Okay, today even at an India level, we do not have a benchmark how many women are at leadership positions, what is the overall diversity and this. So we took this up, and with the help of CII, 1 month back, we have rolled out this survey to 1,600 industries in Maharashtra. How is the diversity level? How is the women across, how many they have? So we will be soon understanding how are those this. Third, we started with If You Can See Her, Be Her series. Okay, where we are having women who are in leadership position to come and address. So it's an 1 hour online series, okay, where women talk about their stories. And there's a question answer session, so that this helps the other women also to say, hey, if she can do, I can do. Okay, so these are certain of the focus areas which we are trying to put in from a part of CII for this. So I think in a nutshell, these are certain things that, yes, there are many challenges. Can they be overcome? Yes, it's going to be a journey, and it's not going to be a small journey. Yeah, because when a World Economic Forum says it's going to be 150 years, it is going to be that. Okay, unless we really start thinking that you want to reduce it to less than 100 years, and that's going to be a Herculean task. But yes, we can really start. Yeah, so I think that's the thing from my side, and just want to put this, being in this field for a long time now, I just put this for as I'm a woman of substance. A strong dad raised me, a loving spouse is supporting me, my kids adore me, and the most important thing, I stood for myself and decided the path at crossroads, because this is what we always have, right? So that's all from me. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kavita, for bringing the issues on the table faced by the women in the work culture and the solutions also. That is the good part of it, that bringing the challenges and the solution together, and the CI initiatives. So with this, I thank you, Kavita, for bringing all this on the table. I invite Shivaji Dhawad, Dr. Shivaji Dhawad, Chief Operating Officer in Feed at IIM, because he has to leave early for some other assignment. He'll be speaking on the woman entrepreneurship enabled and what Infeed is doing and about to do for the economic empowerment of the woman. So I invite Dr. Shivaji, please.
Thank you, Dr. Malviya. So before I begin my speech, we would just like to give you a kind of memento one of the panelists. The reason being that this is a startup supported by InFed, which employs about 70 women right now. The target that the startup has is about 1,000 women by 2025. These are upcycled bags, so basically preventing plastic from going to landfills. So Chairman Vidarbha Zone, Dr. Kishore Malviya, Quality Champion and Director Cummins India, Ms. Kavita Kaushik, Convener CII Maharashtra MSME Panel, Mr. Rahul Dikshit, Head HR HCL TCS, HCL Tech, Ms. Swarnalata Moli, Director People and Culture, Grant Thornton Bharat LLP, Ms. Vinita Mittal, distinguished members of CII, members of the industry, innovators and fellow entrepreneurs. I come from an entrepreneur support organization, a business incubator and a not-for-profit entity driven by a purpose. The purpose is to fuel regional economic development by encouraging more and more individuals to take up entrepreneurship. This purpose we feel is important for a region like Central India, where women are increasingly pivoting their role from a homemaker to bread earners, and from bread earners or job seekers to job givers. I represent the IMN Foundation for Entrepreneurship Development, or INFED, the business incubator and regional innovation organizer of Indian Institute of Management Nagpur, or IIM Nagpur. As an entrepreneur support organization, we feel that we are in the right place at the right time. As the Indian economy ascends new heights, it is the Bharat that will be the air below India's wings. We are a city, a region highly underexplored with true potential for sustainable economic growth. However, we realize and understand that this sustainable economic growth will not be possible without shaping a gender inclusive future. In our journey through these crucial discussions, let us take a moment to fully appreciate the pivotal role that small and medium enterprises play in shaping the economic landscape of our nation. SMEs are not merely entities in the business realm. They are the dynamic forces that contribute significantly to our country's employment sector and serve as catalysts for fostering innovation. The heartbeat of our economy often resonates within the walls of SMEs, where creativity, resilience, and entrepreneurial spirit thrive. These enterprises are not only critical for economic growth, but are also the breeding grounds for fresh ideas and transformative approaches. As incubators of innovation, SMEs propel our nation forward, contributing to the vibrant tapestry of progress. As we engage in conversations about gender inclusivity, it is imperative that we cast a spotlight on the invaluable role of women within the realm of small and medium enterprises. Women entrepreneurs, leaders, and contributors within SMEs are an integral part of this economic ecosystem. They bring a unique perspective, innovative ideas, and a commitment to excellence that enriches the fabric of these enterprises. However, despite their indispensable contribution, women in SMEs often face distinct challenges ranging from access to resources, access to capital, societal expectations, and gender biases. Recognizing and addressing these challenges head-on is essential for achieving true gender inclusivity within the SME sector. Therefore, any meaningful conversation about gender inclusivity must go beyond acknowledging the existence of women in SMEs. This empowerment encompasses creating an environment that not only recognizes the potential of women within SMEs, but also actively supports their growth and development. It involves breaking down barriers, fostering mentorship programs, and ensuring equal access to opportunities. Women are natural problem solvers. We have in the audience a Shrutika, an Ankita, and a Bhavna who are contributing to addressing issues related to climate change. We have a Tanya who is educating the next generation about drones and their multiple applications. We also have Kamal who is using technology to create a single window solution for procuring over 8,000 products for the hotels and restaurant industry. The IMN Foundation for Entrepreneurship Development has always been committed to fostering an environment where entrepreneurship knows no gender bias. We firmly believe that empowering women in entrepreneurship is not just a matter of equality, it is a strategic imperative for sustainable economic growth. To the men in this room, I urge you to be active advocates for gender inclusivity. True progress is a collective effort and requires the active participation of both genders. Let us build workplaces that are not just diverse but are inclusive, where every individual, regardless of gender, feels valued and empowered to contribute their best. As I highlighted before, a startup named EcoCari, supported by InFed, employs more than 70 women right now and is on a mission to support 1,000 women by 2025. EcoCari manufactures such bags that prevent plastics from going into landfills. To the women entrepreneurs present today, I want to emphasize that your journey is not only commendable, but serves as an inspiration to many. Your resilience, tenacity, and innovative spirit are shaping the landscape of entrepreneurship in India. As we discuss policies and strategies, let us not forget the power of mentorship and the importance of creating networks that support and nurture aspiring women entrepreneurs. At InFed, we run a women entrepreneurship program that encourages women to take up entrepreneurship full time. This is our 5th year in running, and I am proud to say that we have supported more than 75 aspiring women entrepreneurs. Out of the total 26 ventures funded by us through different government schemes, 17 ventures are led by women. More than 3.46 crores of funding has been or is being disbursed to these women-led startups, an average of rupees 20 lakhs per venture. We are about to launch an accelerator named Prosper to scale up existing women-led ventures in herbal, agri-tech, and textiles, one cohort for each sector. This will directly benefit about 45 women-led ventures. Next up our sleeve is an accelerator for women-led micro-enterprises that will directly impact about 8 clusters comprising 400 self-help groups consisting about 6,000 women. In collaboration with companies like HCL Tech, we intend to launch a program called as STEM, Skilling for Technology and Entrepreneurial Mindset, for women undergraduates that will upskill them for the corporate world. It will be one of its kind initiative in the country, catapulting more women in the regional workforce. We expect to engage with more than 1,000 such trainees in this coming year. In conclusion, I want to express my profound gratitude to the Confederation of Indian Industry and the US Council at Mumbai for taking the lead in organizing this workshop. The collaborative efforts between India and the United States in shaping experiences and best practices will undoubtedly pave the way for a more inclusive future. As we engage in the insightful discussions and workshop planned for today, let us commit ourselves to actionable outcomes. Let us not merely discuss change, but become catalysts for change. Together, we can create a future where the contribution of women to our economy far surpasses 18%, and where gender inclusivity is not just a goal, but a tangible reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shivaji, for enlightening us. Efforts of the InFeed, putting so many women on the entrepreneur journey and making success stories. And thanks for the upcycle back to everyone, to reminder people that the environment is so important, that everybody, like institute like I am also putting efforts, creating the entrepreneurs for recycling and upcycling works. So now I invite Mr. Rahul Dikshit, convener CII Maharashtra MSME panel and director Dixon Engineering Company, to address the gathering and give insights about the MSME's efforts on the inclusivity. So one round of applause for Dr. Shivaji because he's leaving. Thank you very much for joining us, and we are grateful for your presence. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you, Dr. Kishore, Chairman CI Vidarbha Zone. I think we have had a very engaging, address from the previous speakers, starting from Mike, Counsel General for the US. And I think Kavita also elaborated all the challenges that are being faced as far as gender inclusivity is concerned. But I'd like to add a few points basically from the MSME perspective. As Dr. Kishore just said, I lead the MSME panel for CII Maharashtra. And while, I was trying to do a bit of research on this subject, and it was a pleasant surprise to know that women presence in MSME is actually quite higher than I expected. As you all know, MSMEs are the backbone of Indian industry. More than 6 crore MSMEs are operating in the country, and they give employment to over 11 crore people. Not just that, they contribute to over around 30% of the Indian GDP and almost 40% of exports. So that, I mean, MSME obviously is the backbone for Indian industry because of these statistics. And close to 24% of, I mean, the people employed by MSMEs are women. So that is what the data says. And I was quite surprised to read this because I think I mean, it's 24% would mean almost how much? Almost out of 11 crore, close to 2.5 to 3 crore women are working in the industry. And out of that, 1.5 crore enterprises are owned by women. Now, this also is a big number. There are around 6 crore plus enterprises registered in the country, and out of that, 1.5 crore are owned by women. So, women entrepreneurship is clearly something which is there. But of course, we need to further build on this. And as far as challenges are concerned, I think challenges faced by women, both as employees in a company, could be a large corporate, could be a small and medium-sized companies. There are obviously several challenges that they do face, and also challenges that women entrepreneurs or business owners also face different sets of challenges. Some of them were obviously highlighted by Kavita earlier. But I think most of the women present here also would want to contribute to this. But I think the biggest challenge that women face is the gender bias. I think it is just about in every organization. I think you can. This is some key challenge which they face. And another, I think, challenge would be. I mean, there's always a glass ceiling as far as women employees are concerned. So 31% is what I think Kavita just mentioned is the global average of women leaders, and India is only around 9%. So clearly, this is a big challenge which needs to be addressed. Then we also heard Kavita talk about creating, benefits, childcare benefits to be provided to women employees, post-maternity leave. There are several challenges which they face at the workplace. While these things are very now, I think, common in larger companies, this is something which an MSME clearly doesn't have on its list. As far as I represent, I have my own company, which is a part of SME, but we also have women employees, but we don't have, I'm being very frank, we don't have a separate, say, crash or separate area wherein which we could provide. So I think it's time that and everything cannot be started by a regulation. This has to be owner driven. This has to be implemented by the entrepreneur himself. Only then women working in the organization will feel comfortable. Another thing which I think is a challenge is the work-life balance. Which is a major deterrent to women climbing up the ladder, up the corporate ladder. I remember a famous cartoon, which I'm sure all of you must have probably seen. It's about a race, a track and field event, wherein it's about a race of all the CEOs. And as far as the women employees in that race, they have to cross several additional hurdles like household chores, catering to the children, husband, and everything. So work-life balance is something which is a key challenge. I mean, and hats off to all the women who are working in Indian industries, that they are able to, despite of all these challenges, almost 9-10% of women have reached leadership positions. So it is something which is clearly, highly appreciated. Then again, women presence as far as industry segments are concerned, I think they are quite limited. Most of the segments which we will find women would be handicrafts, textiles, garments, food, healthcare, IT. But we find very little presence as far as manufacturing is concerned, engineering is concerned. then construction, infrastructure. A lot of growth which we are witnessing in the country as of now is driven by the infrastructure investment which the government is doing, and we find very few women operating at construction sites. Kavita just talked about how she started her career as on the shop floor, and Cummins, which is a major contributor to the Indian infrastructure industry, it is the world's largest diesel engine manufacturing company. So, and they have taken a target of 50% of the workforce should be women, which is clearly worth appreciating. But just to give an example, we are also associated with a company with Larsen and Toubro, which is also one of India's major engineering company, and they are executing a contract, a mining excavation contract for Tata Steel. And so they have Komatsu excavators and dumpers operating what Kavita was talking about, big 60-liter engines. So big 100-ton dumpers and 100-ton excavators are operating in those mines. And L&T has deployed women operators. And this is a case study which was also published. It was, I'm sure you would have also read about it. And it has been a great learning experience for all of us. So, and I am also representing L&T and Kirloskar Group as far as their service. I mean, we are authorized dealer partners to them, and we have now gotten a mandate from them that we need to start recruiting women engineers, and I think that is what Cummins also would be doing, because if we start, of course there's a lot of apprehension to start with, because the kind of services we have to provide on the field, it's not restricted to just to 9 to 5, but we have to provide emergency breakdown services any time of the day and night. And we are also committed to giving response in 2 hours. So that would, to ensure, I mean, these are the challenges which of course we would be facing, but we have started the process. Earlier we were recruiting only women in support services like finance, HR, but now in our engineering and services segment also we have started recruiting women. And I think like our company, other companies also would be doing the same thing going ahead. Then we also talked about mentorship being a major challenge. So mentorship, not just as not just in terms of career growth, but mentorship in all areas is something which is a challenge which I think is faced by all the women. If you look at it from an employer perspective, if you look at women who are entrepreneurs or leaders of their own of their company, they also face this challenge. I think I think the key factor is that there are very few networking opportunities for women, because with very few women in the leadership role, you don't know, you have very few role models to look up to, and the networking opportunities are also limited. That's where CII and other such our industry members can come forward and create such networking opportunities. And this is one example, this workshop which we are now conducting. I think it's a perfect platform for women entrepreneurs and other, not just entrepreneurs, but women employed in other industries can come, network, share their ideas, and also provide us guidance on how we can further advise the government, policymakers on what change we should be bringing about. Another challenge I think we talked about is access to finance as far as entrepreneurs are concerned. Mr. Dhawad has just left, but I think that is something which is because most of the traditional funding arrangements that we see, as in bank loans and all, are all collateral driven. You need some kind of collateral, you need some property to be mortgaged, only then a business is funded, and that's obviously something which in our in Indian ecosystem, ownership is with the man of the house. So to counter that, I think Indian government has also come out with several schemes, like Mudra is an excellent example, which is collateral free loans for women entrepreneurs. And with such schemes, I mean, such schemes are encouraging women entrepreneurs. So the startup ecosystem in India is really evolving very fast. And that, I'm sure Mr. Dhawar talked about several of their startups being led by women. But if you do even if you look at the statistics of pan-India startups, I'm sure women women percentage in those startups would be very high, probably even higher than, clearly higher than industry average. So going ahead, I think what needs to be done, I think most companies are already doing it but from an SME perspective, I think I was talking to some of my team members also, women team members, and the points which I'd like to share with you is, I think the number one point which we should all look at is creating a safe space. Safe space, not just I mean, but physically, but even mental safe space for women to work in. I mean, only then they'll encourage. If they are comfortable, they'll be encouraging other women to join the organization. Then clean facilities is also something which is a challenge, as in having separate washrooms is now a bread and butter thing, a hygiene issue now. It cannot, it is something which is a basic facility which has to be ensured. Then MSMEs also don't have this work from home or a flexible work hour kind of a policy because it is not possible. But that is something which we need to, COVID was something which helped us in bridging that also. Like a lot of companies were operating, employees were operating from home during the COVID period, and it has continued. So we have to find a way of encouraging that as well. Then another point which I think we should ensure is skilling and not just skilling, but upskilling of women team members. Only then they will be able to encourage them to rise up the ladder and take a leadership position. And Kavita also talked about personal finance counseling and mentoring. That also is extremely important because most households, the family budget, the house budget is controlled by the woman of the house, and they are extremely good at managing. Even with limited resources, they are able to do a wonderful job. So, and the same skills, I think, translate into their careers as well. So you'll find a lot of women in finance as CFOs. I think number of CFOs would be more than CEOs and CEOs. And this is a skill which is definitely worth appreciating. Then I think providing career growth opportunities is also should be done by just about every organization. No role should be restricted as far as women are concerned, including the leadership role. And some of these steps, I think, if we start taking, doesn't matter what size of organization we are all working in, but if these steps, if are taken, I'm sure in the next few years we can see a definite change as far as in women inclusivity is concerned. So these are the points I think which I wanted to make. And lastly, I would like to say that I agree with Dr. Dhawad, and I think having women entrepreneurs is clearly the way forward, because that can accelerate the participation rate. And I mean, we talked about several skills which women bring on the table, but I think the biggest is creating an enabling ecosystem. And as Kavita said, that they are natural problem solvers, I think they are natural innovators as well. And innovation is what is needed, not just to drive for a growth of a startup, but innovation is needed to drive our Indian economy from, say, about 3.5 trillion to $5 trillion in the next 3 years. So I think this is something which we should immediately implement going forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Rahul. Bringing so many numbers on the table about the women inclusivity in the MSME or the entrepreneurship. I would like to mention one point here, like whatever we are discussing is to proactively start doing inclusivity in our ecosystems. Otherwise, like government is coming up with the Nari Shakti Adhiniyam for the parliament reservation. Government has come up with the independent director must positions in the board. Same thing would be implemented by the government in the future. That is what I can see. If it is not proactively done by the corporates or the MSMEs, there will be regulations coming in this direction. So it is better to do wishful rather than the forceful. This is my input to the all HR people who are heading their institutions. Inclusivity, wishful is better, and creating the infrastructure and the mindset, changing our own mindsets. Like in my own organization, when 5 years ago, when we used to announce some position, हम HR को बोलते थे भाई इसमें woman का resume पास में नहीं लाने का है. It was the mindset. Simply because we were fearful कि हम ये particular site पे किसी woman को देंगे, what will be the risk and will be accountable as an organization. We have to face all those challenges, their family and so on. But now those mindsets are changed. Now it is a total, there is no gender communication. This is the position. You bring the right perspective to the table, and if whoever is eligible will get this position, whether woman or men. So that is, we started very rather focusing priority on the woman. If it is there is a parallel position, parallel resumes. So we interview first the lady candidate rather than the men. So that kind of change we have to bring our organizations. That's then only we can bring the inclusivity in the organization. So with this, I invite Miss Vinita Mittal, Director, People and Culture, Grant Thornton, Bharat LLP. Welcome Vinita to Nagpur. She traveled from Delhi, taking a lot of efforts to address the regional uh, uh, industry of the Vidarbha. So Vinita, over to you.
Presentation, can you please put it? Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Kishore, and to my fellow speakers for sharing your perspectives. I think it's my pleasure to be here on a topic which is so crucial. It is. I think it's always a great opportunity to understand what's the good work happening in this area and also share my own perspectives. So while the slides come up, so gender is an important diversity dimension. There is no doubt about that. But why it is important, not just because women are significantly underrepresented in the workplaces, but also because organizations have a great opportunity to leverage the which Kavita and Mike, they also spoke about. So the unique perspectives that women talent pool bring to the table, that's the opportunity which organizations have. Women bring with them unique competencies, and those competencies have been proven through research and studies that it can drive people engagement and also business growth. But there is a challenge which I think is very enormous because women are dropping out of the workforce. There are various statistics which indicate this trend. About 50% of working women in corporate India drop out at the age of 30, which is the mid-level, to take care of childcare responsibilities, because that's a time when they're embarking on the motherhood stage or they get into a different life stage of getting married. Some of them return to the workforce, but amongst those, a huge fraction again drops out within a couple of months of rejoining. There is another study which says that the representation of women in the workforce declined from 25% to around 20% till 2020, and COVID period further made a dent in their representation to 9%. And what are those factors? I think we spoke about those factors. It is not just domestic responsibilities, but also lack of flexible workplace models. Diminished confidence in their own skill sets. Women are apprehensive about rejoining after taking a gap because they think they are no longer relevant. A lack of network, lack of skill sets. Can we move to the next? Okay, sorry, we have this. So how can we bring women back and not just bringing them back, but also ensuring that they do not drop out in the workforce? So the framework that you look here, so what I'm focusing more on is the chunk of workforce, which is your returning mothers. That forms a large proportion. There is very limited research on contributions that a returning mother brings to the workplace in phase 2.0 of her life. But she forms an important part of the entire workforce because she has gained those competencies, the new competencies, which are so, so important at the workplace. When a woman waits through the motherhood phase, motherhood journey, she's adding those competencies which are unknown to her. And it is only getting added to her repertoire of competencies. So what are those two factors which can help women continue in their employment? And that's what I call a combination of two factors, self-awareness and the awareness at the organizational level. A combination of these two can make a significant impact in their return. So when you look at the top right bucket, which is when the awareness of a returning mother herself is very high, she has taken a break. She knows that that break is not a break in my career, but just a pause in my career. I have added enough skill sets during this time, which is adaptability, composure, planning, which are so, so significant at workplace. Along with her own awareness, the awareness at the organizational level. When the firm knows that somebody who is returning after maternity is bringing so many skill sets, we need to put in place the right systems, processes, and tools to enhance her overall performance. So the right-hand side, the top, you see that when the awareness levels are high at both the levels, women's motivation engagement levels are high. There's a consistent engagement, and that translates into high performance and accelerated growth in career. If there is a lack of awareness at one of these two levels, so if a woman is highly self-aware and she's so confident to make a comeback, but organization is not aware, organization is not supporting her with the right systems and tools, what we see is the bottom right. A woman's motivation engagement level dips from high to low, and that's when the performance declines and women drop out of the workforce again. However, a woman's lack of self-awareness can be compensated well if an organization is aware. Because organization can support with the right performance management, recognition, learning and development tools. And that can help women more engaged in the workforce, the performance will improve and they will see a gradual growth in their career. This is the framework which I feel is very, very important for everybody. So when there are two key stakeholders here, mothers who are returning and the organizations that are employing them. Be aware of their talent, and it is a multifold talent they bring after a gap. Moving on further, I know Kavita spoke about equity. So what do we do? So as I said, even if a woman is not aware, you need a lot of confidence in yourself. But let's not just put it down on women. It is about organization, the supporting system, the supporting environment, and that's where equity comes in. Equity is all about recognizing and addressing those barriers which are preventing underrepresented groups, and in this case, women, from participating fully in the workforce. So I feel the onus is as much as on a woman as it is on the organization. So what are we doing at GT Bharat? We operate in an industry where it is about providing consulting services to different clients. Our gender diversity at entry level is pretty healthy. It is not still at a level that we really want to be, but we are close to 40%, which is a good number compared to other industries. But what happens as women progress up in their career, there is a decline. So from 40%, there's a decline to 30% at mid-level, which further plummets to 15% at senior level and goes down to 10% at partner level. So for us, the challenge is not at the entry level. The challenge is more about How do we take care of that leaky bucket? That's the problem we identified, that at the cusp of mid-level, because after gaining 5 to 6 years of experience is when a woman moves into the middle level. That's also the time when there are different life stages coming in her life, which is marriage, motherhood. And a woman suddenly finds herself running on two tracks where the train is going in different direction. One train is taking her forward in the career and the other train is taking her back towards post. So it becomes so difficult to manage two parallel tracks. And what women do is what is a natural decision, that they drop out of the workforce. So what we have done, there's a program that we have introduced at GT Bharat called Womentorship Program. It's a program specific for our women colleagues who are embarking on motherhood journey. So there's a coaching support provided to women across motherhood phases of pre-maternity, right from the time when the woman shares the information that she is going to be, she's embarked on this journey, to the period when she has taken the maternity leave, and when she returns back, there is a coaching support provided at each of those stages. This coaching support helps them create a sustainable career path, keeping in mind new roles and responsibilities that she finds herself in. The impact has been significant. We launched this program in 2021. It's been 2 years now, and the retention percentage of this cohort has increased from 24% to 84%. So before the launch of this program, all the women who were going on maternity leave, only 1/4 returned back. Post the introduction of this program, of every 100 women, so we have coached 140 women now, 85% of them have continued to stay with us. And I think that's something we feel so proud of, because that's a problem we identified and we came up with a focused intervention. There's another program we have recently launched, which is called WINGS, which is Women in New Innings. This program is also focused on bringing women who are currently on a break. This may not be just because of motherhood, but any reason. Could be elderly care, or just taken a break for travel reasons, passion, etc. Women who are looking to make a comeback, we are providing them that opportunity by some enablers like flexible working tracks. We have talked about the importance of flexibility. It is so critical. While I feel that flexibility is important for everyone, it is not specific to women, but I know that at certain stages, women need that flexibility little more than anybody else. And that's what we are providing. So we have 100% work from anywhere track, depending on if that role is that permits that. We have a track which enables a woman to work reduced number of hours for a limited period of time, if it is really required. We provide learning and development support, because we know it is not easy for a woman to make a comeback so seamlessly. So there is a targeted learning and development program which has been put in place that ensures that they are not expected to start delivering from day one. We give them that runway so that they settle in well and then they start performing. The benefits to the firm, it is not just about it's not just about having access to a wider talent pool, but I think more importantly, it helps improve gender diversity. And that's what we have seen. The mid-level, our gender diversity at GT Bharat has improved from close to 25%, which we were at around 2021, to 30%. So a percentage, the increase of 5 percentage points in less than 2 to 3 years, I think it is in a positive direction. And I think, yeah, so those two programs I wanted to talk about. I would only close now by saying that there is limitless potential in the underrepresented groups. Women being one right now. The numbers in the corporate, in the larger ecosystem do not reflect what the society is. What is required is a focused effort at the organizational level to build an equitable environment. I think equity plays a very important role to ensure that there is a gender representation and also inclusion. Just to give you an example of equity, because we are now putting a lot of focus here. At the hiring stage, what we are now doing is for every open position, our focus is to give equal number of male and female applications. Because what happens is most of the times it is most of the male CVs that come in, and by default you see a lot of male colleagues getting selected. So we are providing an equitable environment right at the start, that women should also get the opportunity to be assessed. That's one. Second, objective decision making, objective assessment criteria, which goes without saying. So there's a lot of work going on avoiding unconscious biases. Women who are coming back after a gap, don't ask questions in the interview. Why did you take that break? Didn't you lose out? Those are very, very negative oriented questions. Instead focus on their competencies and skill sets. So those are some of the interventions we are doing, and I personally feel that we are at a space, at a place and a time that everybody's talking about gender diversity and inclusion, and it is upon all of us as part of the HR team, as leaders, as managers, even as a team member, we can help advance this cause of gender diversity and inclusion. Thank you.
Thanks, Vinita, putting a new perspective, bringing back the woman who took the break because of whatever reason, and there are different models to give them the comfort coming back and enjoying the working life. Thank you very much for enlightening on this different aspect. Now I of the day, Swarnalata Mauli. She is head HR at HCL Technologies Nagpur, and she'll be sharing the different experiences because she's senior most within us from the career point of view. So Swarnalata Mauli, thank you.
So very good afternoon, one and all. You have been sitting for a quite long time, and I'm not sure how much time I can engage you with, or you will be able to engage with me in this conversation. It's wonderful. Thank you so much for the opportunity. All the speakers have spoken all their numbers and what's happening around us, and it's quite a good amount of information I'm also carrying from this session, I would say. So having spoken beautifully, Vinita, Kavita, all of you have given good information, and a lot of programs, what we see that's happening in the bigger corporates. I think in SMEs, slowly now that this program is, we are talking more about this, right? I think slowly we should see how these SMEs can also bring such initiatives, whether it's a crèche or it's a reskilling or it's a support in terms of counseling. These are some of things very, very important. So while I would agree with what the others said, a lot of enough programs are happening. I just want to touch upon some of the key challenges, not from the societal perspective or from the corporates or the organization's perspective, right? Let me just ask you one question. Have you seen this ad of one biscuit where volleyball will be played? There is a mother will come with a daughter. Have you seen? I'm not able to recollect the biscuit name. So this girl will be not selected for the tournament. Anyone can recollect? So just imagine a quote, mom walking with the daughter, and the coach is rejected her, right? And mom comes and gives that biscuit to the coach, right? And he tastes, and then he says, it's very tasty. It has this ingredient, that ingredient, very nice. So you tasted, you were able to say what it is. Why don't you just test her? Give her an opportunity to see, right? That's what is all our responsibility today, to give them an opportunity. So what does it mean? Are we favoring anybody here? No. What are we doing? We are trying to include, inclusivity. When diversity, we are talking about inclusivity, how does it come? It's only through bringing such diverse group of people, maybe due to maternity, they have taken a break, or due to some other reasons, rightly said, We don't have to invest much time what has happened in the past. So what is in the front? What do we do is what is more important. But also I would like to say the women that we are seeing here, our generation, when I say we passed out much in 80s, later 80s, and then the way everything was SLA driven at home, right? Wake up, do this, and you're trained naturally. But look at this generation that has come. Everything has been given on a platter. They all are enjoying and given everything. The pain of not getting something is they don't see that. See, today we are talking about bringing in more women to the workplace. So these are the people who are now we have to get them groomed, right? So what are their mindsets? Do they realize this is based on our interactions with employees and other thing, what we have seen. So you ask them, what is your goal? Can anyone even thought about it? Do they think about it? Where do you want to go? How do you want to go? So there we talk about mentor-mentee program. If the mentor is ready, forget about a male mentor or a female mentor. It doesn't matter to us. If you want things to be done, whether the mentor is a 10-year younger to you or 20-year older to you, doesn't matter. Is there a mindset like that? These are the things that we have to seed in these youngsters. That becomes very, very critical and crucial at this point of time. So for example, what we are doing in HCL, I'm just saying, it can be applicable to any SMEs or any organizations that you want to run this with. So one is on the society, we have as a CSR program working with all deprived slum children, Shakti women, girls, where we empower them through a media of sports. We encourage them to learn a lot of things right from the life skills, right from the sanitations, menstrual. So I was there part of their menstrual hygiene. All the school dropout kids, women. So they all were there and we talked about and how to use even these pads, how to dispose them. So these are the small things. So it starts from that level from their school, right? And when they come fresh into the organization, what are the values that we are giving them? What happens today is, while we recognize after maternity is it's a challenge, but then when I am not open to fall in line with what organization wants, how can somebody help? The mentality to adjust, accommodate, we have programs, we have crash, we provide everything. But then if you choose to dictate terms the way you want, it doesn't work. So how do we tell them? Right? I usually, when I have one-on-one chats with such people who come back after a maternity or after a break, I say, in psychology, most of us would have studied, right? There is a situation, either you fly or fight, right? So it's a choice that we have to help them understand what do you do by flying away the problem, away from the problem. I asked them, how many times will you keep flying away? When will you face it? Where is the courage to face it? I think these are small things, the courage to face, the courage to make mistakes, the courage to do things wrong and then come back and correct. These are some of the qualities or some of the values that we have to instill in them. So naturally, when there is a opening for a senior position, when we are strong, you don't have to push, as he said, it will automatically pull them. The confidence, the knowledge, are we really spending time in equipping what we want to do? These are all some of the challenge I see from the women themselves. While the corporate is ready, while the ecosystem is ready, the policies are ready, but then individuals, how much are we going to spend time with them? In preparing them is what is going to lead to the success of our 30% or a 40% or a 50% what we want to do. These are my thoughts on the how do we help the gender increase in all these organizations. These are few things. Let the seedlings be done and sowed properly so that they flower very well. Those are my thoughts on that.
Thank you, ma'am, bringing new ideas how to include more women into the workplace. Now the forum is open for any questions, any additional sharings. Yeah, please. Can you say? Tagaji, please go ahead.
It was a very insightful
One
session.
may I request introduce yourself, then pose a question to whom so it will be clear. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Premlata Daga. I'm a chartered accountant by profession and an educator by passion. I teach at National Academy of Direct Access to all India IRS officers at Nagpur Center. Okay. So my question is an open question. I guess over the hundreds and many more years before this, we have put up a lot of efforts to empower the women. And that 9% ratio that we see at the leadership role is less because of the culture of our country, where we expect women at work to work as if we don't have children, and at home to be as if we are not at work, to raise the children as if we don't have a work. I guess the change, and I actually like to have your opinion, the change, will it not come when instead of having sessions for how to empower women, how to have more, edges and all that thing, we keep a session for men that how you can contribute to support an empowered woman in future, so that they also share ideas that by little things, I don't expect that they go and cook and they all that thing, but the little things they do which helps and motivates a lady to be at the top. As madam rightly mentioned in her last slide, that she is here or she is whatever she is today because of her husband's support. So that 9% ladies at the top is because mostly because of the men who are backing them. So I guess in India, we need the cultural change when CI will conduct a program for men, where how do we support the empowered women? Women, I guess, mostly have been empowered. At education level, we are at a very good level. Academically, we are strong. We all value the qualities that we already have. But now the men needs to support that quality in whatever best way and share ideas how they can do it for their respective wives and whatever way they do it, maybe sisters, maybe daughters or something like that. So, so do we have any such plan in future?
Yeah, we have plans, and this kind of workshop will bring a change in everybody's mindsets, even the men or women both. Okay, all men sitting here would start thinking how to include women into the workplace and how to support their wives at home or the daughters. Okay, and the woman sitting here will guide their brothers, their son, their father, think in this direction. So both has to play a role, not only men. Woman has to really give perspective to their within the family and their circumstances, that this is the change we have to bring into the picture, and man has to think in the direction. So both has to work together, and definitely change will come. I'm sure. Otherwise, it will be forced. Because I was just looking at one meme about all three state governments. Okay, Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah talking. We have set up such a question paper. No important question came into the picture. So all same is the surprise. So those kind of surprise rule can come into the country, and everybody will have to enforce at the MSME or at the corporate. And then that is the Nari Shakti Adhiniyam is making clear picture to the country. So it is a road few years to pass on from here now.
I want to add here, so at least in the corporate India, I can talk about from my organization's perspective. What you said is actually the problem that everybody needs to tackle, and that behavior is called allyship. How men can take on the role of an ally and support women around them in various roles. So for example, when women in our organization go on maternity break and when they are returning, we not do only coaching sessions for the returning mothers, but we also do coaching sessions for their managers, because we know managers will play a very important role in ensuring that there is a smooth transition for them. They understand the unique needs and are able to give that support. So we do that. We're also so during the mentorship session, we know the role a spouse plays. So we also do a coaching session where we tell their spouses, their husbands, that look at this stage, women, your wife needs you in various phases. Pre-maternity, this is your role. Maternity break, this is your role. And when she's returning back, this is how you can extend support. So we have already taken those steps.
Any more questions?
Yeah, just extending her point actually. So sorry, just to introduce myself, I'm Pallavi Vadankar from Infosys. So I've lost a lot of talent in this coming back from maternity leave. So what I have found is Infosys as a company does a lot of programs for such women who are coming back from maternity leave. But I feel that somewhere women themselves lack, they are not vocal enough to ask what they want. May that be personal or professional. So I think they have to be vocal. They need to ask on the personal grounds as well. May that be because some of them are in the joint families. So it is not just the husband, but others also have to play a role in their career growth, right? There are expectations from them as well. At the workplace, they need to demand, they need to demand, they need to demand that kind of support from their managers, from their team. So what they're expecting. So this is how they'll be able to grow. Otherwise, I've lost many good talents to these because they don't speak up, right? Even though we support them at office, they don't get that kind of a support back home. So that is also an important aspect to it, is what I feel.
And rightly said, I'll tell you one thing from the experiences, what I've said. When a woman goes on a maternity break, people feel she's gone on a holiday. Okay. And that's the thing. It's still a thinking, and I'll tell you in Cummins itself, maybe around 5 to 6 years back, when the performance management was done, when women went on maternity break, I'm talking about this around 6 to 7 years back, every industry needs to have a bell curve of performance, right? So people who are rated 1, 2, and 3, the threes would be women who have gone on maternity break. So even if that woman was a very good, last 6 years, we brought in a rule that whatever was the rating of that woman when she went on maternity break needs to continue. And that came as a conscious, and that brought the confidence that even if she has gone on a maternity break, it's not a break from whatever her skills have not broken, right? It might have that some of the skills she needs to reskill herself, but she should not be losing in the confidence, because that brought a lot of loss in confidence. And this happens in many organizations, by the way, but that was consciously brought in.
So I have a couple of my HR team members also here. One such situation came and they went ahead and I said, whoever may be the head of this unit, don't bother. Just ensure this is corrected. Otherwise we will escalate. And they made it happen. They went ahead and then fought. It took 3 months, Akanksha, 3-4 months. We ensured that we don't let go, right? Same applies with the men also. For some reason, unwell and going, same treatment. We don't want to differentiate, no special treatments. I think that's very important. Performance is one thing. And if somebody is not vocal, so what is the support system we want to create for them? We enable with the counseling sessions, talk to them. Above that, we say, still, if you want to come back after 3 months, 4 months, feel free to connect with us. So we have a program where, after a break, people can still apply and then we absorb them. And the only request again, when we talk to them is this. Yes, you have time, you have to take care of your children or your newborn or whatever. Just spend at least an hour in upgrading yourself. That is more important so that you don't lose. It's okay, you are on a pause mode. Like she said, it's a pause mode. It's very easy to continue in a pause mode. When you stop, it becomes very difficult. So these are some of the things we should keep talking, keep telling to your own family members. If I'm as a mother of a 27-year-old boy, I keep telling him. But my son was very sweet. When I have my menstrual cycle and all, he will come and ask, do you want hot water? Do you want anything? That's the growth that as a parent, it's important. Equally for the women also, what we see of late is, okay, I have been doing all this, is don't do that so that only your others will, don't say that. Even women should understand equally they have to share, right? It's not that only your husband has to do, it is your responsibility also. So I think these are some of the things as we have our sisters or brothers, keep talking about it. Very important. That is how this 9% or 10% will become 20% in the near future, right? Yeah.
I'll just share my example here. So I'm a returning mother myself. I had taken a break in my career, but I was very clear that I would be back after 2 years once my daughter turns 2 and I put her in a daycare. So there was a lot of planning that had gone into it. But was my comeback very easy? It was not. It was at that point where diversity was still not being talked about that much. So I remember I was applying to many organizations, and there was this company. They selected me, and but they offered me a compensation which was even lower than what I was earning before I went on a break, and I said no to them. And I was very confident, and they actually said that, look, you do not have an opportunity, at least we are, giving you a platform to restart. I said no, I know what value I bring to the table. I know how much I should be compensated. And what you said, women should know, that's called psychological safety. I was very, very confident. I said, I may wait more, but I will take the right opportunity. And that's, of course, GT happened. They gave me an increase on my last compensation. So, yeah, so I think it's about your own confidence. And then they say the universe conspires to help you achieve what you really want to set out for. So, and that happens. So, yeah, it's important to believe in your own skill sets.
Any more? Yeah.
So first of all, thank you, Vinita, Rahul, Kavita, Kishore sir, and Swarnata madam. I fully agree with you. Myself, Nitin Turkar, in one of the major unit, I am playing a role of diversity and inclusion. So not only the women empowerment, but those they are needies, handicapped people, transgenders also, how to be the part of that. Yeah. So you can say I'm a minority mainly because others are women leaders with me. Okay, so even my boss is saying, okay, you are the guy who is supporting, and all the women staff, they are talking to you very friendly. You are helping because they feel like the main enemy or the competition between the women. Very important point I'm saying here. They have a jealous, or maybe they feel competition from the women, not from the men. Okay, madam saying yes to me. Okay, so the supporting environment, we talked about the very one point only after the maternity. This is one thing, but the other challenges also. We are giving more flexible environment, at least in Infosys, I'm saying. Okay, that's what Pallavi is here. She has 2 kids, husband working. How she is managing, she is growing. That mind block with society, with in-laws side, with mother side, father side, and all this thing. How to cope up from that? Okay, nothing is, I feel like, at least in my industry, HCL, Infosys, TCS, madam talked about the floor job where the tough job, the muscle power is required. Okay, but you have put the example and so many things. But here, no one can teach you. Okay, you have to be strong enough. Okay, why to even so many cases coming. Okay, they're saying, sir, why you have given me next level? I don't want to play the leadership role. So Nathan, I haven't asked you for the next level. Why you have given? I said, you have the potential, you can work. All are supporting. So that mind block also we have to release. We talked about the support, safety, almost all the industries they are trying to provide. Okay, but the society, the grooming, the culture, okay, what we have, the unnecessary, those are the ethics. Humans are going on a work. Okay, the people are talking about that. That roadblock we have to remove. We have to work on that. That's what Kavita especially said, it will take 150 years. We have the target for 25%. I know we can't achieve in the next 5 years. Even I have the target, but I'm pretty sure because it's complete learning. Just like, okay, we have to start with the society point of view, with uh, telling them, don't take it that much seriously, unnecessary. Those 4% you are talking about, they are not with us in your happiness, in your bad time also. You are thinking about those people.
Yeah. So
Nitin.
I'll put perspective to it. It will be all stakeholders have to work together to make a speedy inclusivity. Okay, it's not only man or woman or organization or everything. I can quote two examples. One is from the history. All you have to watch the Develi Ahilyabai, how she did made all changes in the whole ecosystem when she was from the childhood till she led the Holkar dynasty from the Indore. So the story of her life, making big changes across the segments of the dynasty. Second, I must quote when we did the IT conclave in Nagpur, and the vocal lady is sitting here, Rupal. She made an open statement in the house that why there is no gender diversity on the dais, because all men were sitting on the dais, and that made a big impact. So I request people, you must be vocal when you watch something which is not happening in the right direction, then it get registered. So this time when we invited people, you see in the house, it is a inclusivity. So thanks Akanksha for bringing the inclusivity in the house, on the dais, on the people who are contributing to the discussion. So I wanted to give a message that you must be vocal if you are observing something wrong, because we are not vocal. We just watch and okay, it is not my job. But that is not the right attitude. We must mention we feel something has to be inclusive in the future perspectives. So yeah, please.
Thanks for considering it, and I'm sure that it's really helpful for entire ecosystem here. I was in US during that time and I saw that entire panel. It was great to see all the big giants sitting on dais and all the like male speakers, amazing speakers. But there are lack of women representation. I would say 0%. So I felt sad about it that we are growing and there has to be at least not I would say 50-40, but at least 20 to 30% to start with. And I think I requested last time also in VIA, Rahul was there where we got award in last VIA as a best organization. So we requested that can we at least start with Vidarbha to select those companies who at least have 30 to 40% women representation in their companies. Just put a clause, probably not coming 2 to 3 years, but after it down the line from 5 to 10 years, we might have that Vidarbha, every single company has at least 40 to 50% women representation. So I'm sure that it's not just one single person effort, but everyone, the way that we are growing might make huge impact from Vidarbha.
Great. So let us make our thought process in the direction, efforts in the direction as all stakeholders. And being time punctual, I would like to conclude this session at 3:30. My big thanks to all speakers from Mike, US Council General Mumbai, Kavita Kosik traveling from Pune, Rahul Dixit, my own friend here in Nagpur, but he had cancelled his other appointments and came here to address us. Sonalata Moli ma'am, Vinita Mittal traveling from Delhi, Dr. Sivaji. So all speakers brought all different perspectives to carry forward and implement our organizations and also make an impact in society to be inclusive partners for the women empowerment in different organizations. CII is here to help you all walk the talk. We'll be happy to facilitate the gender empowerment journey with you. If you anyone interested to catch up with the CII, we have diagnostic tool to assess the organizations on this aspect of gender diversity and inclusivity in their organizations. CII can also help you in support in prevention of sexual harassment, post modules in companies. The CI Nagpur office will be happy to offer support and will connect with you all. I request all of you to please fill the feedback forms so that your feedbacks are received very well, and all different advices like Rupal made very openly will be considered in different coming workshops or the CI programs. Any advice which is brought into this advice form, or more than that, you can write if you want to advise anything on the discussion on the speaker side. So please be vocal, be open, so that it is improved and we brought to the different grade of the discussions. So thank you once again for coming here, spending your time and working on this different aspect, sensitizing in Vidarbha region. Big thanks to my friend Keith, who traveled from Nasik. Big round of applause for him, because all of us we are sitting here due to his efforts. He made everything. He traveled from Nasik, came here in Nagpur, organized everything. Akanksha from Delhi, big clap for Akanksha also. She is heading this CII International from Delhi office, brought this workshop at Nagpur region and also with the Council General of Mumbai, America, Mumbai. So thank you very much. And all of you for your participations. Please come forward for any kind of topic which we can bring to the Nagpur to CII. We'll definitely take up that aspect and have a brainstorming session and maybe some policy advocacy to the government for different topics from the CII. Thank you very much. Thank you all. By this, I conclude this session. Thanks. Yeah, we'll, before that, I have some sweets for the speaker. Webo, can you bring the sweets? Yeah, I would like to give to